Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. This depends with your time zone, wherever you are around the world in Africa. Welcome to our series of Africa ELTA webinar. And remember, we go always live on Facebook. And today we have a lovely presenter who is going to give a great topic, which is called using a brain-based approach to reading instruction. But before that, I'll also like to give the biography of our presenter. Luke Mining is a senior lecturer at the Department of English Language Education in Indonesia. She's pursuing a PhD in the field of English language education at Semarang State University, Indonesia. She has worked as an EFL lecturer, researcher, and curriculum developer. She's teaching research methods, research language, teaching and critical reading courses. She has published and presented her research papers on the following topics: brain-based approach, neuroeducation, and English language teaching strategies using technology. Dear viewer, at the moment, actually, you can send your comment through the chat box. Also, for those who are watching on the Facebook Live, we have the Facebook space where you can send your comments, your question. Remember, I'll be the mouthpiece through the entire webinar. Our webinar will take us, an hour, where 40 minutes will be just presentation, and 20 minutes actually will be Q&A. So let me take this opportunity to invite our presenter, and we can give a virtual round of applause when she's gonna kick off her presentation. Luke Minings, please, the floor is yours. Welcome.
Okay, thank you, Mahemba. Okay, good morning from Indonesia. Hello, everybody attending in this webinar. Nice to meet you in this Africa ELTA webinar. And first of all, let me say thank you to the team of Africa ELTA, Mr. Mahemba Sebastian, and also the president of ELTA, Mrs. Amira. Okay, and then here I want to share my experience and my best practice dealing with the implementation of brain-targeted teaching strategy with online instruction in EFL reading classroom. English is as an English foreign language in my country. So of course, there are some problems that we have to master well, especially for the outbreak of COVID-19. So of course, all the levels of education mastering from face-to-face to fully online. Okay, let us see the next slide. Before I share my experiences and also my best practice, I have some questions to the participants. Okay, the first is about number one. What are the problems faced by teachers in teaching EFL or ESL reading? Who wants to share their ideas? Maybe for the participants? Anyone? Mahemba, can I see, how can I see their engagement from raise hands or from the chat?
Well, I'll be just supporting on the chat, please. People use the chat box on the question that have been asked, and I will support them by just giving them out, please.
Okay, okay.
Well, we have one who writes.
Yes, can you,
yes, can you?
Lack of motivation. Okay, good. Any others?
Yeah. What else? What else? What else?
Yes. What else? Please. Of course, lack of motivation, yes. And while waiting others, based on the previous studies, often said that reading is a subject that makes students bored. Yes, they are bored, especially when they read not for the native language, but for foreign language or second language. Okay, any others in chat? No, there is no. Okay, and the second one, how can you stimulate your student motivation in learning ESL reading? If you have any experience, you can share it. No one share? Okay, and then the third, how can you encourage your student engagement in learning ESL reading? Is there any idea? I'm sure that you have a lot of experiences, and of course, as a teachers, we of course have so many problems with our students, especially when we are teaching reading. No others? Okay. Okay, maybe next time we will ask again. So next, go to the next slide. Let us see here. Yes, there are some aspects here. Okay, this one. So brain targeted teachings comes from the neuroscience. So neuroscience as the umbrella of innovative curriculum in the 21st century. In my country also, it use neuroscience as one of the umbrella of the innovative curriculum. And I think that there are some countries also use this one, also implement the neuroscience for their innovative curriculum. For example, United Kingdom, United States, Japan, Germany, etc. They use neuroscience as the basics or foundation of their curriculum. And go to the brain-based learning and brain-based teaching. Yeah, brain-based learning and brain-based teaching, they are the strategy, they are the educational strategy based on the finding of the research from neuroscience. And one of the products from brain-based learning and brain-based teaching is brain-targeted teaching strategy. So that's why I want to share the brain-targeted teaching strategy for teaching reading, especially in my country for EFL reading, because there is a outbreak of COVID pandemic 19. So we have to also to adapt brain targeted teaching, which has produced by some scholars from United Kingdom. Yes, because on that time in 2012 and 2016, they can still implement this in the class. But 2020, 2021, we cannot do this. So we have to adapt. We have to adapt how to implement brain targeted teaching in online instruction for EFL reading. Okay, I just explained a little bit, yes, about these aspects. Before we go to brain targeted teaching, we have a neuroscience as an umbrella, and then we go to the cognitive neuroscience dealing with the language, dealing with the cognitive, and then go to the neural plasticity This dealing with our brain can be as a plastic. So we can shape our students' brain to make them, to encourage them high motivation, high engagement. And the fourth, based on brain-based theory. And one of the products of brain-based theory is brain-targeted teaching. This is dealing about neuroscience. Neuroscience explores the brain from biological, neural, and chemical perspective. Neuroscience helps teachers understand the student brain work, the strength and the weaknesses, so it can help teachers understand their students. The brain is like a plastic. It can be formed, altered, and activated. Research has shown that when students realize and believe that they can change their brains and grow their intellect, so they work harder, persist through difficulty, and achieve greater achievement. So it can automatically increase or encourage their motivation in learning. And then go to cognitive neuroscience. It's an interdisciplinary area of research that combines measurement of brain activity with performance of cognitive tasks by human subject. Cognitive neuroscience studies about memory, language, listening, attention, and learning. This is all about mental processes. Of course, we need a memory. We need consider about students' memory, attentions, reasonings, language. And this is neuroplasticity. A brain is like a plastic, as I said before. This is the ability of the brain to modify its connection or rewire itself. Without this ability, the human brain would be unable to develop. Okay, from this, why should we use brain-targeted teaching? This is dealing with the brain, of course, dealing with the brain, how the brain works. Look at this picture, that the input of language comes from, go to the brainstem, and then after the brainstem, go to the limbic system. The function of limbic system is the process of memory. The process is memory and emotion. If the students have a good emotion, of course, they will keep the input in the long-term memory. But if the students is not good emotion, they feel that uncomfortable in the class. So it means that they just keep the input of the language or input of the information still only in the short-term memory. And then go to cerebral cortex. Cerebral cortex is dealing with our connective. This is about thinking. Look at number 1. This is about thinking. So we usually use as a high order thinking skills. This is the theory about brain. Okay, this is brain-based approach. Brain-based approach comes from neuroscience, psychology, and pedagogy. So it is interdisciplinary knowledge. This one, neuroscience, of course, it can be dealing with brain waves, structure function of the brain, and hemisphere. Pedagogy, of course, dealing with the individual education and learning and curriculum and lesson plan. Psychology, dealing with emotion, motivation, and engagement. All we have to consider how we implement this to our students. This is the picture of brain-based targeted teaching. There are 6 aspects in this picture. Look at this. First, emotional climate. Second, physical environment. Third, learning design. Fourth, teaching for mastery. Fifth, teaching for application. And sixth, evaluating learning. So 6 aspects here is in brain targeted teaching strategy. Okay, so this is 6 aspects that we have seen from the picture. Yeah, there are 6 aspects that we have to implement in our lesson plan. Okay, this is explanation of the 6 aspects from the brain targeted teaching by Hardiman 2012 and Parr 2016 from United Kingdom. Yes, this one, brain target 1, emotional climate. As I said before, that they construct this strategy before COVID-19. So it can be implemented in the classroom fully. Brain target 1, emotional climate. So it is important for educators to understand the influence of emotional, both positive and negative, attention, memory, and higher order thinking. This is emotional climate, how we create the emotional climate in a class. And the second, brain target 2, this is about physical environment brain. Studies compare the effect of bland and changing environment with classroom that provided students with simulation through frequently adjusting and changing classroom display. Sound, lighting, sense also appears to have an effect on learning. Soft background music can help to relax students and provide a comfortable learning environment. So we have to create a comfortable environment. If face-to-face, I think it is easy for us as a teacher to create the physical environment. For example, we can arrange the class as good as possible. I mean that make them comfort. And we can also give a special design maybe in order to they are interested when coming to the class. And also maybe we arrange the air condition in order to they are in class not feeling too cold or not feeling too hot. And also maybe we give them like good scents or good perfume to make them relax. It is easy for offline, yeah. But later we will discuss how about if online. Okay, and then the target 3, that's dealing about learning design. The brain filters new information through the lens of prior experience and prior knowledge in order to create new meaning. New information then becomes integrated into holistic pattern of connection. What does it mean? It means that when the students get new information and they do not have a prior knowledge, they do not have a background knowledge, so it's difficult for them to understand easily. For examples, I don't like football. I don't like football and I don't know at all about football. And then directly I have to understand the text about football. Of course, it is difficult for me, but maybe it is not difficult for the others. Yeah, because the others like football and know about football. So why it's difficult for me? Because I don't have any background knowledge or prior experience. Brain target 4, teaching for mastery. Teaching model encourages teacher to plan for repeated of content skills and concept so that the information becomes a part of student long-term memory. Because repeated and repeated, such repetition would be terrible boring for students. Yeah, and teachers too, of course. If the same activities were presented multiple times in the same way, Instead, teachers are encouraged to plan varied experiences so that students can manipulate information with a variety or modalities. Yes, if just repeated and repeated, of course, the student will be bored. So we have to find out the way how to make a varied, how to implement the modalities. And the fifth, brain target 5, this is about teaching for application. It allows students to apply what they have learned in tasks that have real-world application. Within the brain targeted teaching learning unit, brain target 5, including conducting investigation, designing experiment, analyzing perspective, and engaging in creative thinking through the visual and performing arts. So it means that we as a teacher, how to give them as like an authentic material for their tasks. And brain target 6, this is about evaluating learning. Of course, we have to evaluate. This domain focuses on 2 key elements: variety of assessment methods and value of feedback. Why I say that this is a variety of assessment method? Because there are some kinds of assessment methods. So don't only use one kind of assessment methods. It can be test, it can be informal assessment. Yeah, so it can be we as an ongoing assessment. We can use ongoing assessment to make them not feeling afraid. Yeah. So give value of feedback. Connective science support what teachers know by experience. Immediate feedback strengthen learning and memory patterns. I have explained about how brain targeted teaching implemented by Parr and Hardiman, but those only for face-to-face, not online. So I modified in my research using brain targeted teaching in online instruction. First, brain target emotional climate requires helping the student establish ownership of the material that are learning. This begins, however, with a clear instruction or procedures. Students are given choice to develop a sense of ownership, but the choices are well defined. Students are not finding their way in the dark. So it means that the teacher can give hints. The material, the next meeting, they can give the topics that will be discussed for the next meeting in order to the student can find out by themselves. So when they have read the topics, of course, they will activate their background knowledge or prior knowledge. And the second brain target, this is about physical environment, deals with what a teacher must do to keep the lesson alive and interesting to the students. It's like watching a video or listening to music, which in some way is related to the lesson. And the third brain target is learning design, ensures that students are aware of the big idea behind the lesson. It involves recognizing what the students already know after each day and constantly asking what students want to find out more. So this is the learning design, ensure that students are aware of the big idea behind the lesson. And the fourth target, teaching for mastery, requires exploration or deeper inquiry into the subject matter. In this particular lessons, students browse through the internet looking for various platforms from various places around the world. And the fifth target, this is application, allows students to extend what they have just learned. The learning activity suitable for this particular lesson is student creating models, to represent what they have just learned. And the sixth target is assessment. Allow the students to see how much they have learned. This can happen by simply allowing each student to see its other works, notes, models, or maybe peer assessment. One important note is that such evaluation must be done regularly and frequently. Feedback received after a substantial amount of time has passed is similar to reprimanding a toddler for something he or she has done several days ago. Okay, so this one is brain-based. Research has shown that when students realize and believe that they can change their brains and grow their intellect, they work harder, persist through difficulty, and achieve greater achievement. And this is the surface of brain-targeted teaching with online instruction. First, creating a positive emotional environment online classroom. So we have to find out the way how to create the positive emotional in online classroom. And the second, providing opportunities to apply learning. And the third, introducing activities to support develop executive function and prior knowledge activities and transfer opportunities. And fourth, employing model higher thinking skills. And fifth, employing online instruction, such as in Google Classroom, Telegram, Zoom, etc. Teacher can use feedback loops to find out whether the student perception matches their expectation. So sometimes we need to give the questionnaire. It's like to hear the student voice, which one they like to use the kinds of platforms. Or maybe in one material, in one subject, we can use collaborations of platforms. For example, not only by Zoom, but we can collaborate with the Google Classroom, Zoom, Telegram, or etc. Okay, the steps are used to organize information in the brain at different levels. Students must transfer information as their own learning with the use of working memory and prior knowledge to form long-term memory and allow students to use the information into different sources that can become a trigger for conceptual understanding. Okay, this is the steps that I have implemented in my class. First, for pre-reading activities, first that I have to greet students warmly in virtual platform that's dealing with emotional climate, how to create emotional climate in online. And the second, ask a student to read the similar topic from other different sources before coming to the class. So this is dealing also with emotional climate. Why? Because when they read the topic, the same topic with the text we will discuss. So it means that they will feel safe. They will feel comfortable because they understand the topic. So when they have the text, so they will see, oh, this one is almost the same, oh, this one is different, blah, blah, blah. It means that they can understand easily because they have background knowledge before they come to the class. And the third, some question about the topic will be discussed. It's like a brainstorming. It means that emotional climate, this is a target one also. And some people, some teachers also use brain break. Brain break, it means that we can implement only maybe 1 minute, 2 minutes. It can be dancing, yeah, robot dancing, yeah, and online, yeah, maybe it's like a light movement, yeah, in order to make them refresh. And then for students prepare to answer question while waiting other classmates join to the Zoom, Google Classroom, or Telegram accompanied by soft music. especially when in the Zoom. Yeah, this is a target too. Okay, and the next, this is while reading activities. Ask student what the student already know about the topic will be discussed and constantly asking what the student want to find out more. This is learning design, target 3. And second, ask student to expand the student's knowledge about the topic in brief discussing related to the topic of the text by watching video from YouTube. This is teaching for mastery. It can be watching video from YouTube. It can be read the article, etc. It means that they can know, they can get knowledge from other platforms. And the third, ask the student discuss what the student have written and ask the students to check their comprehension about the text. This is about target 5. And then for post-reading activities, discuss the answer together in order to enlarge student comprehension. It can be used formative assessment, yeah, assessment, and the target 6, and giving feedback, target 6 also. And the third, ask the student to conclude the lesson. This is to enforcement. This is also the target 6. The implementation of teaching strategy can be done with offline, fully online, or blended learning, both in synchronous or asynchronous learning. Well, look at this one. Anyone who doesn't give a true holistic the brain architecture and development is a far behind time as an automobile designer without full understanding of engine. Okay, this is dealing with a neuroscience approach and brain-based approach. It means that although the teacher has arranged the best lesson plan, has arranged the best assessment strategy, but if they don't consider how the students' brain work, I think it is not effective, because when we are teaching students, of course, we are dealing with the students' brain learn and brain work. Okay, I think that's all my explanation. So everybody, if you want to say something. Okay, thank you, Mahamba. Is there any questions?
Thank you for the presentation. I'm not sure if Mahamba is facing any tech issues, but this was really a very nice presentation where you give us a summary of brain-based teaching and some of the theories behind some of the stages of the lesson that some of us might be doing, but are unaware of the theories behind it. So thank you very much for sharing this with us.
Okay.
I'm looking at the chat box to see if we have any questions. And we do have one question here. Can flipped classroom foster a better emotional climate?
Okay, flipped classroom. Is it right?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, very good. Flipped classroom is also a good teaching strategy. It means that it is one of the part of blended learning. So it can encourage, I think that it can encourage the students' brain work, because by using flipped classroom, of course, the students can get the knowledge before the class. So it means that when we use flipped classroom, the students do get knowledge from home. I mean that they can get various sources from home, and then when they come to the class, so they are ready with the knowledge. So it means that their emotional will be safe. They will be they will have a good motivation, high motivation and high engagement, because they have prior knowledge. So when the teacher is leading a discussion, so all of the students have understood about the topic, so they will encourage their motivation, engagement, etc. So I think it's good one for brain-based approach. Thank you.
Thank you. Mahamba, are you there? I think we lost him. Okay, we have
Okay.
another question. What is the difference between neuroscience approach and brain-based approach?
Okay, thank you. Neuroscience approach and brain-based approach. Brain-based approach is an educational strategy which based on the finding of neuroscience approach. So neuroscience is the umbrella, and then brain-based is the part of the umbrella, is the part of neuroscience. Okay.
That's
Any
interesting.
Yes.
Yes, I have a question myself about
Yes.
the emotional climate that you shared with us. Can you tell us more ideas about how to provide this emotional climate for learning?
Okay. Emotional climate. Yes, of course. You mean that emotional climate in online class or offline and online class?
Yeah, in any class.
Any class. Okay. So emotional, when we are dealing emotional, of course, there are two kinds of emotional, positive and negative emotional. So we as a teacher sometimes do not consider about student emotion, but really that emotion, student emotion in learning is very important. Why? Because when they have negative emotions, of course, they will not understand well about the material we will say, we will present. Because, for example, when they have a strict teacher, of course, they will be afraid. And then when they are afraid, influence our brain hormone. And when our brain hormone produce, of course, this is about something afraid in the limbic system, as I told you before. Yeah. So it will influence the bad connection, how to connect well between the new information and the previous information. So emotion is very important. How to create emotion first? It's very simple one. For example, please you address your students well. The first, we as a teacher, not as a coach. So we have to consider our student as our kids, as our friends. Of course, first, please you arrange your tone of voice. Sometimes voice also influence their emotion. With a high emotion, with high tone of voice, they will be afraid. So make them comfortable in the class. Every students, if I told to my students that there is no stupid students, all of you are clever. If there is someone who doesn't or cannot answer the question or cannot do the task, it means that someone is lack of reading, is lack of knowledge. So you have to read more and more. You will be like your other friends. I said like this. So we have to respect to our students, and then don't blame to our student. Yes, you are wrong. No, you are bad answer, etc. I never use these words. I must respect my students. Although this is not good answer, I say that good, but any other idea, etc., etc. Like this. So we have to make them safe. First, safe, of course, will create the positive emotions. For example, in the exams, not only students, we as a teacher, when we are in exams, of course, we will feel afraid, uncomfortable. Yes, but when the teacher or the instructor give the something comfortable, something safe, of course, we will feel safe and our emotion will be positive, and then we can answer the question easily, not restricted by their uncomfortable or because they are afraid, etc. I think like this.
Thank you for sharing these tips. And you talked about the difference between applying the brain-based approach in face-to-face classes versus online classes. So what is the difference, if any?
Yes, okay, of course, we there are some different. Especially for emotional climate, and also the second is physical environment. For emotional climate, as usual, when we are in the offline class, of course, it's more engagement, face to face to our students. But in online classroom, of course, they feel that not too close to their teachers. But how to make them close? We have to find out the way in online class. For example, emotional, for example, we can use, we can address them, although not only in Zoom, although in a forum discussion in Google Classroom, in Telegram, in WhatsApp, so we can interact to our students. We can use both synchronous and asynchronous, not only in a Zoom, but it can be in WhatsApp is very simple one. Some people just think, well, just WhatsApp, what for? But actually, if we can implement them, we can create the emotional climate in WhatsApp, in Google Classroom, and etc. We address them, we appreciate them by chats or by say something that make them happy. And also for the physical environment, it's very, very different. When a physical environment,
I think we lost the presenter.
Yeah, yes, Samira. And I also apologize for in and out. It is really raining, and thank you for backing up support.
No problem, Mohammed. So I think we had the same issue in the practice. She will be back soon, I hope. And while waiting, I think we have one question in the chat box about using visual effects. It's really interesting to learn that whatever we are doing in the class has to do with the students' way of learning and how their brain functions is affected by the way that we teach as well.
Yes, and I also realized, a lot of fans on our Facebook Live. Thank you, Jackson Kamugisha from Tanzania. Adam Stein also, has been also commenting a lot on the Facebook page. We also saw Jamari Malingo from Tanzania. Great Jamari comments. We are reading it out.
okay,
Catherine Zhao. Yeah.
Welcome back.
Okay,
Yes, welcome back.
Yeah, we have one question, I think, in the chat box.
Oh my God, Wi-Fi. Yes,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah. So if you would like to stop sharing, that's fine. And we can just address the questions. So it can help you with the connection as well.
Oh, yeah, yeah. So I stop.
Okay. Mahamba, can you see the Q&A box so you can read the question?
Yes, thank you. We have a question here from Adi, who asks, can visual effects like colors affect student attention in online learning in terms of emotion and environment? Luke?
Okay.
Take it away.
Yes. Can visual effects, the color, yes, is it right? The color affect the student attention? Yes, of course. In online, yes, the color, as I said last time, that for the physical environment of offline is easier than in online. Why? We can arrange the color of the wall, for example, and also we can arrange with the classroom with anything that make them interest, attract. But in online, the color here, it can be we use as our slide. We use authentic materials, and we use the slides is colorful, etc. So they will feel more interested.
Wow, great.
Yes.
Thank you. I also have one question here. Maybe I'll just read it very quickly.
Yes, okay.
Well, you spoke about human brain, which is really a complex system. How do you use checking for understanding to your student through using reading instruction?
How can you choose? Excuse me? How can? Mahemba?
Yeah, well, you spoke of the brain, and it's really complex, system. My question is, how do you check in for understanding or assessment, through reading instruction approach that
yes,
you
okay,
spoke
thank
about?
you. Okay. Because I said to you that I have done some research dealing with this one. Of course, there are some assessment. There are some ways how to check the validity of this information. First, we can use like a test for the students in online. Of course, we must consider that they can do tests anywhere, right? In online, yeah. So it is possible for them to cheat from other people, from other students. So it means that we cannot assess whether it is success or not, whether it is effective or not, this strategy, not only from the test. Not only from the test, yeah. And the second one, we can use questionnaires. We can use questionnaire to students. This is the student's voice or student perceptions, whether they are they feel comfortable with this strategy or not, etc. Without their name. Yes. So I said to them, it is not there is no score for the questionnaire. This is only to confirm that your what your voice in this strategy. So we have some this is some example of the assessment. And the second one, we can use ongoing assessment. For example, I said to you that the students should engage in the class. So in the class, I also give them opportunity to discuss, to answer the questions, to present what they have read. So it means that I can understand their understanding or their comprehension in reading the text. Okay.
Yes, thank you for sharing this. You have one final question, I think. Mahamba,
Amazing.
You got frozen for a minute, so I thought we lost you. But
yes, okay.
Yeah.
Well, we have also a question on the chat box. I see this is from Kasum,
Yes, yes.
who asks, do you have any tips to deal with learners' emotional, safety in our online classes?
Do you have any? Excuse me. Oh, is there
do you
connection?
have any tips to deal with learners' emotional safety in our online classes?
Okay, of course. Yes, we have, as a teacher, we have to find out the tips how to create the positive emotional in our online class. First, we have to appreciate them. Don't judge them. This is wrong answer or not. I have done some experiences. I said to you that I use collaborative platforms in one subject. Why I did this? Because I'm so sure with the various platform, I use three kinds of platforms. The first is by using Zoom, and the second by using Google Classroom, and the third by using Telegram. Why I use this? Because not everyone can feel safe in Zoom. Yes, maybe they feel shy when they ask something, when they say something, and I can prove it. And then when I apply in Google Classroom or in Telegram, yeah, so I do not just give this is your task, so you have to answer the task. No, but I discuss in Telegram and also I discuss in Google Classroom. But the results that they are more active when they discuss in writing. Maybe they feel safe. Yeah, maybe they feel safe when they just write, not say something in front of their lectures. This is the first. And the second, we have to keep our intonations. Sometimes Wi-Fi make us crazy. Yeah, sometimes it's off, and then some students say that I'm sorry, I cannot on camera because my Wi-Fi is not good. Blah 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 blah. Sometimes I do not like this, but I have to make them how they can on camera by a good one. So not to force them, because yes, I'm aware that Wi-Fi is our problem for online learning. So we have to keep our patient to our students, and we have to consider that our student is our kids, or maybe our student is our friends. I think that they will feel safe. So of course their positive emotion will increase. I think that's all.
Wow, thank you. Well, as we are just approaching at the end, maybe we can take two more questions. I see the question in the chat box here. This is from Yoga, who writes, Fali writes, is there a connection between content language integrated learning and brain targeted teaching?
Is there a connection between
content language integrated learning and brain targeted teaching?
Yes, of course. Yeah. Is there any connection between content language integrated learning and brain-based teaching? Yes. Everything can be implemented in brain targeted teachings, because not only reading, actually mathematics can be not only reading, not only language, but all of the subjects. It can be mathematics, chemistry, etc. So it depends on the teacher. So we have to plan with, from target 1 to target 6, like this. So it means that not language only, not skill, not only content, but also for the other subjects. Okay, any questions so far?
Well, thank you. Maybe we have this last question. You spoke more of the approaches and your theories. As a teacher, what is the weakness of the approaches that you use with your students?
Okay. The weakness. Yes, of course, from the teacher side, we need to consider our patience to our students. And the second one, not all teachers understand about the neuroscience because they just think about the scores. If their students have a good score, it means that they are success in teaching. But I don't think so about this because for the success, teachers should be also success for the students. Sometimes students think that after they go out from the class and someone will ask, what the material you have learned? Oh, no, I don't know. I forget the materials because they just have a short-term memory, not long-term memory. I think like this.
We are getting to the end, and I want also to recognize the presence of my fans on the Facebook. They have been very active, sending a lot of comments. Maybe when we are just, closing this session, in a minute or two, Luke, what do you have to say as a wrapping up?
Okay, so as I said in my slide that we as a teacher, we should consider our students' brain work based on the brain targeted teaching, and also we have to consider our students' emotion, motivation, engagement. So when we consider this, of course, our teaching will be effective. Because if just only consider about lesson plan, just consider about the scores, the student score, I think it's like a automotive designer, but they don't know anything about the engine. Engine is like the student's brain. I think that's the conclusion of this webinar.
Well, thank you so much. Remember, our today's topic was just using a brain-based approach to reading instruction, and we have heard a lot of points and presentation from Luke Minings from Indonesia. Thank you, everybody, for wonderful comments. Thank you for the questions. Thank you, everybody from Africa and around the world. As we are closing, I want to just say that let's keep just making our Africa ELTA alive through just following our page and Facebook. And as we are closing this segment, please, my name is Mahamba Sebastian. I've been moderating this session from the beginning, and I also apologize for in and out, but we keep just putting our PD, professional development, elevated. Thank you, and see you some other times. Bye. Good night, good morning, and good evening.
Good
everybody.
morning.
Bye.
Okay. Okay. Good morning. May I leave now?